Yes, the world is beautiful and unspoiled. But it is wrong. Correct it at once.
Civilization Beyond Earth takes the classic 4-act strategy game to new heights, namely space. In doing so, it improves upon a lot of different mechanics, and having spent over 50 hours on Beyond Earth, I thoroughly enjoy it. However, I can't help but feel as if Beyond Earth simultaneously misses the mark on a number of key points. Beyond Earth has the same general gameplay as its predecessor. You start with a small city, expand and build numerous others, collect various different resources, and interact with opposing civilizations through force or diplomacy. But the way you go about doing this is quite a bit different. In Beyond Earth, you don't select one civilization with a set number of bonuses. Instead, you select one of 8 corporations that each have but a small bonus and continue to select from a number of different options, such as your type of colonists or cargo, subtly designing your own civilization every single time. Being able to select the starting bonuses of your civilization is a good system. It allows you to shape the way you want to play from the outset and, in the long run, offers more replay value. This seemingly small level of freedom is then one of the best aspects of Beyond Earth. You'll find a nice level of choice in a great deal of mechanics. Virtues, gained by building up enough culture, give your whole civilization crucial, passive bonuses, but allow you to focus on more than one virtue tree. Going down one single virtue branch, such as knowledge or industry, nicely rewards you with synergy bonuses, but likewise, branching out to different virtues gives you synergy bonuses as well, based on the number of tier upgrades you've chosen. A bigger, major gameplay choice is the introduction of affinities. In Beyond Earth, you quite early on have to decide your general ideology: harmony, purity, or supremacy. These affinities then give you significant bonuses and are a key mechanic in the way you build your own civilization. Harmony is focused on your civilization's integration with the alien planet, siding more or less with the alien wildlife and gaining immunities to the toxic miasma that is spread across the entire map. Purity instead centers around a civilization that is most concerned with the preservation of humanity, keeping the old traditions and values intact, and keeps your civilization, again, more or less recognizable. Gameplay-wise, Purity plays out more defensively and centers around battlesuits and levitating tanks. Lastly, Supremacy is a civilization filled with technocratic fanatics. What may start as a reasonably innocent use of drones instead of soldiers, then quickly spirals into an obsession for AI and robotic units with prideful names like the Ambassador or Redeemer. The affinity mechanic is a great way to shape your civilization according to your preferred playstyle, and the affinities truly feel different, as they are integrated in virtually everything you do. As your affinity levels increase, either through quests or technology, so do your military units, taking away the need for specific upgrades and research, and instead gives you a relatively quick and effective way to keep your military in order, despite not necessarily aiming for a military powerhouse. Besides affinities, another major mechanic that offers a lot of freedom is the new tech web. In Beyond Earth, you no longer follow what is essentially a linear line of research upgrades, but instead navigate your own way through a big web of potential technologies. Of course, with the most typical sci-fi names you can think of. The obvious result of this new tech web is that not everyone will have the same upgrades at the same time. A great example of this are the vastly improved spies in Beyond Earth, an improved system which certainly is one of my favorite parts of the entire game. Spies themselves have much more impact in Beyond Earth, allowing you to pull off extremely helpful feats such as gaining a huge energy boost, the new gold currency, or even better, taking over an entire city with but a little bit of persuasion from the covert operatives. Importantly though, not everyone will have spies at the same time. In order to unlock your own set of agents, you first need to research computing and then build the spy agency. Not something everyone will do, and certainly not at the same time. If you are one of the first to do this, you can often reap the rewards of this quite nicely, and through the diplomacy tab can even keep an eye on whether or not other civilizations have gotten to their spies yet. The result of all of these mechanics combined, the civilization builder, the virtues, the affinities, the upgrades, and the tech web, results in an immense improvement in player freedom, and you can then very nicely play your own way in Beyond Earth. Now, all of this freedom does come at a certain cost. In Beyond Earth, civilization leaders are, frankly, boring, and the game in general takes some hits when it comes to its personality. Yes, affinities shape the way your cities look like, and that is great, but it never quite invokes the same sense of personality or culture of its predecessor. Civilization leaders themselves aren't strongly personality-driven, and they easily melt together as they appear rather generic. The one plus here, however, is that the actual leaders do change appearance based on their affinity choice. Furthermore, there are no faction-specific units or buildings that would stand out in any way. City-states have been replaced with extremely passive and generic stations that have very few functions, basically trade with or destroy them, and in general there is no attempt made within the game itself to generate any sense of culture. Lastly, Beyond Earth oddly lacks a competent ending screen. Every time I did win, although still satisfying, it felt rather abrupt, and if you lose, it may very well come as a complete anticlimactic surprise. Although this lack of personality is truly but a small complaint, this final point about the ending screen does bring me to my two biggest gripes I have with Beyond Earth: the UI and the AI. First, the user interface. It is, simply put, bland, and more importantly, rather incompetent. The interface and graphics engine are borrowed from Civilization 5, but the changes that have been made to the interface are a number of steps backwards. Multiple UI elements aren't very clear, and getting into the game can be more painful than it needs to be because of it. Beyond Earth certainly has wonders, but looking at the tech web you might not realize this until numerous hours into it. The tech web, although, as I said earlier, is a fantastic mechanic, can be really painful to navigate. There are a number of filters and a search option at the top, but this too is quite limited. In previous installments you could easily rely on historic context, but when you are faced with researching a gene garden or a gene vault, which one of these is the wonder? Your only indication is knowing that wonders don't require maintenance, and finding these wonders inside the actual tree is painful unless you know their exact name. If one of your remote cities has completed a structure, the UI won't tell you what it actually built. For a while I was completely stumped as to why I couldn't assign spies to numerous enemy cities, which apparently required me to discover them again despite them already appearing on my map, something the UI neglected to tell me. Various tooltips aren't specific enough, and if at any point you want to find out who is at war with whom, you can't actually find this on the Diplomacy tab. Instead, you have to talk to each individual civilization leader and see if you can or can't get them to go to war with another faction. Only then will it prompt you with a message saying they are already at war. There are various UI elements that are simply poorly explained or oddly hidden, a strange oversight that can make the game a lot more confusing during your first few hours. My second gripe then comes from playing it for a long period of time as opposed to initial confusion. The AI, or rather the way the AI interacts with the new victory conditions. The AI itself is nothing special, and compared to its predecessor, plays out largely the same. It's competent enough, but the interaction the AI has with the victory conditions make the game significantly less enjoyable. In Beyond Earth you have 5 different victory conditions. Domination, the act of capturing all the other civilization capitals, a contact victory, and then one affinity specific condition for each of the 3 affinities. These last 4 are very similar, though they play out just a little bit differently. Each of these 4 victory conditions focuses around building a specific structure and keeping that structure active for a number of turns. Having done multiple playthroughs, completed roughly 200 to 300 plus turn games on every difficulty, including the so-called impossibly hard Apollo difficulty, the same annoyance appears every single time due to the nature of these 4 victory conditions. In theory, the conditions sound interesting and fit their theme. Creating an Emancipation Gate, the Supremacy Victory condition, could force an interesting situation. Do you send as many military units through it as you can, or do you leave them for your cities and gates' defense? The Exodus Gate, the Purity condition, on the other hand revolves around placing Earthling settlers similar to normal settlers on various places on the map. Defending this stream of colonists walking around could be an interesting opportunity for a change of pace in Beyond Earth. This does not happen against computers. The AI is utterly oblivious to victory conditions from other AI and human players. Placing any of the victory conditions never prompts hostility from the AI. Yes, they certainly go to war with one another. This can often easily be guessed by looking at their city placements. First of all, do they have bordering cities? They will start to dislike each other. Do they furthermore have opposing affinities? That's a war waiting to happen, but this war is fought on the front lines. The AI generally systematically goes after the cities located most closely to their own borders, and a victory structure is most often built inside the capital. These capital cities are often not located near the front lines. The result is one AI assaulting bordering cities of another AI who reacts by defending and, if successful, promptly goes for their border cities. This back and forth can definitely go one way, and you can have one civilization be slowly obliterated by the other AI, But if this does not happen fast enough, the AI with the victory condition will still easily win, simply by waiting out the turns. Simply put, the AI does not stop another AI or the player from winning. As most of the victory conditions are inherently passive, place the structure and defend it, most games will result in you having to play a global arbiter of sorts, sending strike teams across the map. Hopefully you can reach them in time to stop an AI from winning, despite, say, 3 other civilizations being significantly closer with the military power to stop it themselves, as they do not seem to care, or rather know, that they are about to lose. Yes, stopping an AI from winning by surgically taking out its victory structure in the last few rounds is exciting the first couple of times and makes for interesting gameplay, but this happens every single game, and the AI seemingly never realizes that these count as victory conditions. Compared to its predecessor, where every victory condition did force you to annoy the AI in one way or another, be it by taking over all the city-states or spreading your culture to their borders, these are oddly passive victory conditions that the AI does not seem to be able to deal with. And with no proper ending screen, games can really abruptly end with very little going on near the end. If you're the one winning on that note and you have your victory structure first, your game just turns into skipping the last 20 or 30 turns in a row. Oddly passive victory conditions. Finally, we are of course on an alien planet, and what would an alien planet be without actual aliens? In Beyond Earth, all the barbarians are replaced with aliens, and these certainly act differently. They're interesting at first, even intimidating. They tend to remain passive as long as you do not harm them, but if you come close to a nest, they will ruin your day. The way you handle these aliens is then another layer of gameplay that you have a good amount of control over. The straightforward way is of course simply killing them, but with certain technology and affinity upgrades, you can also make them ignore some of your key units, such as trading convoys or explorers. The aliens are a nice threat, vastly more interesting than barbarians, but stop being a problem when you're about 100 turns in. At which point, even the menacing siege worms are little threat. They, sadly, do a poor job at actually keeping up, but they nicely spice up the early game of Beyond Earth. Furthermore, you can quite easily just murder all of them with little actual repercussions, even if you opt to go for the Harmony route. The only nice downside to doing so is that the other AI who are pursuing the Harmony route will be less appreciative of you. In general, they're a hit and miss, but a good improvement on the barbarians and a nice early game threat. Frankly, killing them never gets boring. The only good bug is a dead bug, after all. Another mechanic that increases the enjoyment of the early game are the new quests. In Beyond Earth you are prompted with various quests, often whenever you've built a certain structure, and these are a nice way to give you short-term goals. You even have certain quests that branch based on your affinity, and this then loops around to the earlier point I made about freedom. Beyond Earth truly gives you more choices to go your own way. In the end, Beyond Earth is a good game, but very clearly flawed, undermined by its steps back in personality, its poor user interface, some small issues with imbalance, and AI that doesn't deal with the new victory conditions in an interesting way. Mechanically, Beyond Earth is still a very strong game though. It plays very similarly to Civilization 5, meaning that if you don't enjoy Civilization 5, then you won't enjoy Beyond Earth. If, however, you do like Civilization 5, then Beyond Earth is a nice, fresh take and certainly very enjoyable. And if you've never played Civilization, then this is a competent title to get you into the series. The new mechanics such as the spies, the tech web, the changes to virtues, the affinities or the quests are all great aspects of Beyond Earth, allowing for much more player freedom. And because of that, it is still a very competent game. It's not the best Civilization by any means, but it's worthy of the series, and in those 50+ hours I've spent, it remained highly enjoyable.